Bounces to Page. Attempt for a steal. Page launching a deep three. It rolls home. Page's prayer is answered. 4.7 seconds to go. Here we go. 4.7 seconds to go. Inbound to Ryan Arcidiacono. At half court with 3 seconds. Ryan Arcidiacono flips to second. Three for the win. It's good. It's good.
We all remember that shot. A year after leading Villanova to the national championship, our next guest has his team in position to make another deep run in the tournament this year. They are 27-3 and have been in the top 5 of the AP poll every week this season. We welcome 3-time defending Big East Coach of the Year, Jay Wright, to the First Take guest. Thank you so much for being here with us.
The man. Great to be here with you guys.
And now you're adding author to your resume here with this book, Attitude, Develop a Winning Mindset on and Off the Court. Why did you decide to write this now?
After we won the national championship, everyone said you have to write a book. You know, it was really the last thing I wanted to do. I didn't want to come out like, all right, we won a championship, now I have all the answers. Yeah. It's not a book like that. It's more about our culture, and one of the things we start with our young guys is they come in as basketball players, you know, and we teach them on the basketball court. It's not as important about making a perfect play. It's how do you respond on the next play, what's your attitude. And then as they grow up, we try to teach them that's most important in life. It's not about what happens to you today. It's about waking up the next day and saying, I have control of my attitude. I got a positive attitude today. So we wanted to just kind of share our culture for everybody that's a leader, as a part of an organization, and hopefully it works.
I appreciate what you're saying because, as y'all know, I wrote for the Philadelphia Inquirer for 17 years. I'm very, very familiar with this man. And
we claim him in Philly. Believe it or not, we do claim him.
You know, the thing about it is that it's the class. It's not just the results. It's not just the fact that you've only had one losing season in the last 13 years. It's not just the incredible success that you've had, but it's the image that you bring to the main line. It's the image, the way you carry yourself, the way you've dealt with adversity, etc. Talk to us a little bit about that, and what role do you highlight in regards to that in this book?
Well, thanks, Stephen. You were there in the beginning years as we were trying to build our program, but it's that's what attitude's all about. It's not defining yourself, for instance, by the NCAA tournament. If you're a college basketball player, you are defined, and a team and a coach, by what you do in the NCAA tournament. When really, we don't define ourselves that way. The championship was great. It's more about how do we conduct ourselves every day? How do we live? How do we compete? And we know the outside world is going to judge us by what we do in the NCAA tournament, but we're going to be just as proud if we compete every day, win a regular season championship because we've been consistent with our effort and our commitment every day, and understand that it's okay for the outside world to judge you differently. That's their right, but stick to what you believe in and your core values.
Coach, I'm curious about this a little more specifically. You've been kicking butt and taking names now for like a decade, going against the grain of college basketball. Nova's not a way station for one-and-done prospects. You got guys for 3 and 4 years, and you've won a national title, and you guys are always winning, and you're number one right now. What are the recruiting challenges as you go up against guys like Calipari and Coach K, where the programs are not exactly like Nova? What is the recruiting challenge for you?
Recruiting is challenging for everybody, you know, and we like those guys. We'd love to have some of those one-and-done guys, but we most importantly want to find a one-and-done guy or any guy that's going to fit our culture. You know, you got to come to Villanova because you want to get your degree, and you want to be the best player you can be, and you want to become the best man you can be. Now, you could come there and be there for 2 years. Kyle Lowry was there 2 years, went to the NBA, and then has a plan to come back and finish his degree. But he's also grown as a man, and he also stays connected to our community. That's what's important. So we just have to find those guys. That's the challenge.
You're sitting here as a national champion. Chris Jenkins hitting that 3 at the buzzer to win a national championship for you. I don't know if I've ever seen a coach more cool at such a euphoric moment than you at that particular moment in time. What was that like for you? How does this still hit you today when you reflect on y'all winning the national championship, the manner in which you won it last year against North Carolina?
You know, winning the national championship was not the goal. I'm not saying we celebrated. I was really happy, but it was going through that journey with the guys. So whether he made that or missed it, I wasn't going to be totally at the moment. You would have been disrupted. We would have got over it. Same thing with winning it. You know, we said that to the locker room and the guys to our guys. We said, don't make this the defining moment of your life. You know, don't make this ring the best thing you have going for you. Continue to become a great man. Use this to learn from your experiences and use this to help you do other things in life.
Before we get on out of here, I got to get on him just a little bit, y'all. What you going to do about Butler? They beat you twice this year.
He could not. There had to be something.
Best team you played?
No, you know what? For the matchup for us, they have been the toughest matchup. Now if we are successful in the NCAA tournament, we will match up against some other great teams. But I'll tell you what we're going to do. It's going to be the same as Seton Hall last year. We lost to Seton Hall in the championship game in the Big East tournament, and they taught us some lessons. They really did. I don't think if we would have learned those lessons, we would have won the national championship. And the same thing with Butler. They have taught us some lessons. We're working on some things that they took advantage of, that they taught us. It's going to help us going forward.
That's why I asked you, because I need to make sure you're prepared. You got to defend the national crown. You got to defend the national crown.
Right around the corner.
And
we can't wait to see you guys in the tournament. No, of course. He's going to put you on the hot seat a little bit. He's got to get one. We do know your team will be consistent, resilient, and, of course, have the right attitude. So pick this up in stores now. Jay Wright, thank you so much for being with us.
Great to see you guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Baylor back in the news, and not for a good reason. You don't want to miss what Baylor women's basketball coach had to say over the weekend. The guys will react to that. And we are less than 200 days until the start of the 2017 season, and Marvin Lewis may already be on the hot seat, but should he be? That's next. On the MVP.
Duh, Cleveland Cavaliers record when LeBron James doesn't play. 4-19. No one means nearly as much to the success of any team they're on in the NBA as LeBron James.
I don't give a damn what you say. This better be James Harden's moment. As far as I'm concerned, he's the league MVP. You know what the Houston Rockets are without James Harden? They're the Lakers.
That primary ball handler is going to have inflated stats, particularly if he plays for who? Mike D'Antoni.
That's not.
He'll do with Jeremy freaking Lin.
You're being blasphemous.
You take part not take LeBron every day of the week.
No case of the Mondays here. What's up, everybody? Welcome into First Take. Thank you so much for hanging with us. We're having a lot of fun. Stephen A., we got another 60 minutes coming their way. What do you hat on?
Well, on a fun note, I get to talk about Shaq and JaVale McGee. I am going to have a ball with this topic. Just thinking about it has me laughing. I got to admit to you, it has me laughing. And on another note, I can't wait for my final take. It will be on O.J. Simpson. I'll explain.
4 takes, that's you. 3 takes, not me. 2 takes, you lucky.
Oh, the drama. It erupted off the court late last week when JaVale McGee decided he had enough of Shaquille O'Neal's teasing. Shaq often targets McGee in his Inside the NBA segment called Shaq'd a Fool for TNT. McGee and Shaq took the beef to Twitter, throwing shots back and forth. Then the big dogs got involved. The Warriors brass contacted Turner officials to express concern about the ongoing negative portrayal of McGee and potential damage it could cause to his reputation. Then on Saturday, Shaq told the Undefeated that he'll lay off McGee because his mother told him to. Stephen A., do you think the Warriors should have contacted TNT?
Absolutely not. The Warriors look bad in this situation. They come across as big babies. Everybody knows how I feel about them. I respect the hell out of Steve Kerr. I think he's a great coach. I respect the hell out of Bob Myers. Joe Lacob is a fabulous owner. They're a first-class organization, but this reeks of pettiness. It's like, come on now. If JaVale McGee can't put on his big boy pants and deal with this, then you know what? He doesn't need to be in the league. And Kevin Durant, we all know how it's like when he comes to your defense. He'll come to your defense now and depart ways from you in another month or so. You never know with him. So they'll take that with a grain of salt. But let's be clear about something here. You know, JaVale McGee, let me be respectful. Pamela McGee is his mama. She was a former number 2 overall pick in the WNBA draft in 1997, I believe. She was a fantastic player. She knows basketball, et cetera, et cetera. She raved about what her son was going to be before he came into the NBA. Hasn't worked out so well. He's 7 feet tall. He weighs 270 pounds. He can jump out of the gym. His athleticism is off the chart. He's a career 7-point-per-game scorer with 5 rebounds who has never averaged more than 27 minutes a game in a season. His career high was 28 points, and that was back 6 years ago in March of 2011, okay? And in terms of Shaq and a Fool, can y'all play some of those videos for me, please? I mean, this it's not like Shaq's lying. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's happened, y'all. The video is there. I mean, some of these bloopers, just watch them. I mean, the list just goes on, and there are things that he has done that has not been impressive, and then there are other things that he has done, like this, dribbling the ball, that has been flat out idiotic, and there is one play where he is seen running the wrong way away from his team. That was one of the bloopers on Shaq and a Fool. So it's not like Shaq is lying about the dude, Max, and last but not least, not only is he telling the truth, but who exactly is it that's telling the truth? it would happen to be a four-time champion who's universally recognized as the most dominant figure of the modern era and one of the two most dominant forces in the history of basketball other than Wilt Chamberlain. It took Mama Shaq, who I know very, very well. I love me some Mama Shaq. How you doing? How you doing, Mama? I love me some Mama Shaq. It took her to intervene because I know this woman. I've had to deal with this woman. She's the same woman that came up to me, Max, and said, I'm upset at you, and refused to talk to me a few years ago. I said, why would I do? She said, you're not hard enough for my son. You're giving him a pass. You need to get on him. You need to stay on his butt. That's what she said. She don't play. She had to stop him because Shaq wouldn't have let up because Shaq ain't trying to lay off this dude. And I don't blame him. I just don't see the problem. You got to play better.
Here's the issue that we're dealing with now. A PC culture run amok. And we don't focus on that as much in recent months because of the crassness of our politics, especially on one side, and the politically kind of incorrect nature of that politics.
Right.
But there is still something stifling about, you know, in the air in terms of the PC culture. So how does that affect things? Well, there's this idea of cyberbullying, for example. And that's very serious. Kids who are cyberbullied, that's a real issue. And in fact,
been a lot of suicides.
Absolutely. And you can't make light of it. Yeah. Of course not. And JaVale McGee's mother brought that up after Shaq's mom brought up, wait a minute, my kid's being cyberbullied. And that calls to mind a very serious issue. On the other hand, is this really cyberbullying? Is when one person's making millions of dollars playing a game on TV, open to public criticism, another guy's job is to criticize the ridiculous, and so there are a lot of ridiculous plays he can point to. Is that really, and for the Warriors to contact a media outlet and say, hey, can you go easy on our guy? That's like being teased by the class clown and having your mom or dad come to school. On the one hand, I get it. If it's actually bullying, the mom or dad should come to school. But if it's simply being teased by the class clown, and where do you draw the line? Well, another interesting thing came up recently. Yep. Mark Cuban. There was a Bleacher Report that puts an honest, a funny little thing where he's airballing a shot, and Mark Cuban complains, and they take it down and apologize. So it's in this general atmosphere of political correctness run amok that we're dealing with this, and I think that informs some of our opinion about this. Maybe don't worry so much about. This is not really bullying. It's kind of fair criticism that they're complaining about.
Can I play devil's advocate because I feel like you guys are on the same page here? And the Bleacher Report was an isolated incident. And I love the show Inside the NBA. I get Shaq and a Fool. I get the segment. But why repeatedly show this out? You don't think that becomes personal? Other guys have bloopers.
Let me stop you right there,
okay.
Molly. We sit on a show where we critique things every morning. Mm-hmm. You gonna tell the producers it ain't just Shaq. TNT does that. They give him that video. They play that video. Shaq is right there showing the video. Charles Barkley is next to him being absolutely hysterical. By the way, Ernie Johnson is laughing his tail off, and we all know Ernie Johnson, rather, to be absolutely class personified.
But that's not answering my question.
It is answering your question. I'm saying to you that...
Why repeatedly him?
Because he's repeatedly doing it.
But there's no one else to show?
Trust me when I tell you. When I watch Shaq and the Fool...
Yep.
He's very, very astute and accurate in who he calls out on a particular day. If there are other people, listen, there's a part of, we showed the one with Otto Porter, he's standing there frozen, and the guy runs to the other side of but he didn't do it 5 times. He did it once. He shows a different clip of JaVale McGee, and it's a different incident that he provides.
Look, what is he supposed to do? Molly, to your point.
Last point is this, and I'm gonna throw this to you, Max, give you the last word here. How are these, whether it's Mark Cuban going off about Bleacher, whether it's the Golden State Warriors and others, how is this any different than Trump tweeting when he don't like something? I mean, think about it.
We're not saying that's okay.
No, I would say what you're reacting to, what people who don't like what Shaq's doing are reacting to, is it's the strong preying on the weak. You know, if JaVale McGee is the kind of guy who just gets spacey sometimes, that's part of his personality, and he can work on it on the margins, but that's never really going to change. And so as long as he's playing, he's a target for Shaq. And Shaq is strong, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest players who ever lived, multiple-time champion, and all those kind of things. And so it just feels like not an abuse of power, but the powerful kind of preying on the weak. And so it has the sense of bullying, yes. I get that basic sentiment. On the other hand, you are making a lot of money playing a game on TV. You're up for public scrutiny, and a critic is there, in this case Shaquille O'Neal. And when you do things that are up for criticism, he will criticize.
On the other hand, He is comical with the mistakes that he makes. It's funny. And oh, by the way, the Shaq in a Fool segment is not a JaVale McGee. There are plenty of people who have been hit by Shaq in a Fool. TNT runs it. You know why? Because we look forward to seeing it. Because it makes us laugh. JaVale McGee's not making us laugh.
Right. When does it become not funny? And JaVale McGee and his mom are saying it's not funny anymore, and everyone else seems to think it's still funny.
Everybody seems to think it's funny.
Leave it to Mama to end the drama. Speaking of drama, Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson together again. But does Stephen A. believe that Jerry is finally getting it? And I want to ask Jay Wright about that subject. After the break, the coach is a defending national champion. Here he is, Villanova Wildcats in-house. So much to discuss with him. That's next. Stay here.
Hey, Coach.
See you, Max. All right, buddy.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, this is Shaquille O'Neal, the one who taught Stephen A. Smith everything he knows. And you're watching First Take. Hi, Molly.
Barrett bounces to Page. Attempt for a steal. Page wants in a deep three. It rolls home. Page's three is answered. 4.7 seconds to go. Here we go. 4.7 seconds to go. Inbound to Ryan Arcidiacono. At half court with 3 seconds. Ryan Arcidiacono looks to take it. Three for the win. It's good. It's good. The three to win the national championship for the first time in 31 years. You can call the champions.
We all remember that shot. A year after leading Villanova to the national championship, our next guest has his team in position to make another deep run in the tournament this year. They are 27-3 and have been in the top 5 of the AP poll every week this season. We welcome 3-time defending Big East Coach of the Year, Jay Wright, to the First Take guest. Thank you so much for being here with us.
The man.
Great to be here with you guys.
And now you're adding author to your resume here with this book, Attitude, Develop a Winning Mindset on and Off the Court. Why did you decide to write this now?
After we won the national championship, everyone said you have to write a book. You know, it was really the last thing I wanted to do. I didn't want to come out like, all right, we won a championship, now I have all the answers. Yeah. It's not a book like that. It's more about our culture, and one of the things we start with our young guys is they come in as basketball players, you know, and we teach them on the basketball court. It's not as important about making a perfect play. It's how do you respond to the next play? What's your attitude? And then as they grow up, we try to teach them that's most important in life. It's not about what happens to you today. It's about waking up the next day and saying, I have control of my attitude. I got a positive attitude today. So